I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
Starting off with Israel's connections with 9/11 and 7/7, both connected to both terrorist attacks, with a lot of connections to both. 9/11, that was September 11th, 2001, New York City World Trade Center, and then we've got 7/7, 7th of July 2005, London, and both connected to Israel. And very big connections. 9/11, we've got basically what they were secret service of Israel. They were called the Dancing Israelis, 5 Dancing Israelis. The story behind that is something to do with basically they were caught recording by the FBI the towers and dancing. The story behind that, what I'll leave on there, but it's something to do with that they're already there, like they already knew that it was going to happen before it happened. They'd set up the cameras as if they knew. That was a report from the Federal Bureau Investigation of United States of America. It was also something I'd seen before, although I haven't come across it, which was something to do with just before 9/11, again to do with the authorities in the America, might have been the FBI again, or something to do with that some Israeli men had been caught around the area of the World Trade Center, or in the New York State, just before 9/11 as well, which was weird. They'd been pulled over in a truck or something. And then we'll move on before we go into these, and what I'll go into 7/7, 7th of July 2005, London, Variant Systems, which is Israeli CCTV. And what I talked about there, where basically, they own the CCTV in 50 countries across the world. That's the whole CCTV system everywhere, in 50 countries, which is including the UK, and also, actual London Underground, the cameras which, ironically didn't capture the 4 Muslim men, entering the trains and everything when the bombs went off and stuff. And, a lot of things beyond that, and cover-ups beyond that story as well. What I'll do is I'll start with how these things connect from 9/11 and that. Basically, the Dancing Israelis, which were, Mossad agents, Secret Service, Israeli Secret Service. What I'll leave on there is the article. There's even interviews and stuff like that. No, it's really sketchy, when you connect those together. It's not right, the story behind that. The setting up of cameras prior to the attacks is an inference from the phrase "they photographed the attacks" in this report. So basically, they already already knew the attacks were going to happen. Now you've got to ask yourself how and why first. Why were Mossad, Israeli Secret Service, there in New York City on September 11th, 2001, already waiting and knowing that these towers were going to be attacked? First of all, it was supposedly a surprise attack, and it was supposed to be Al-Qaeda Islamic extremist stuff like that, right? So how did they even know, and why were they there in the first place as well? That doesn't make sense. And the fact, when they were caught, they were dancing, celebrating, seeing these towers attacked. It doesn't make sense, does it? And there's a lot of connections, that go through that. Especially if you look into like ICE, which I move on to, which there's a thing called ISIS, what I move on to do with Israel. Their connections, even Mossad, NSA, and MI5, MI6. So you've got to ask yourself on that. And then briefly pointing out 7/7 and Israel's connections with them. As I said, the 7/7 ripple effect, if you watch that, which is about the London underground attacks, and basically, which it was discovered that variant systems Israel, as I said, about them, suddenly not having the footage and proof of these 4 Muslim men boarding the trains, which blew up the trains for starters, and yet they had all the footage of everywhere else in London, but ironically not the footage, the proof to prove that these 4 Muslim men boarded the train. Also, the bus, the number 40 bus that was blew up on Tavistock Square, basically the CCTV used to be on all the time, but around the time where a lot of people were saying that this bomb could have been put in there, all of us, it was deactivated at a certain point the day before that happened, and it's also aimed by variant systems. So it doesn't sound, it sounds more suspicious to me. And when you look at the Israel have connections with both attacks, 9/11, 7/7, you've got to ask yourself why. There's lots of holes in the story. As I said, you would have to watch the 7/7 ripple effect to find out about why. But basically put, even through the train records of when, basically those 4 Muslim men weren't even on the train that would have been in London, that would have got them to London, so they would have even been on those trains and the bus when the bombs had gone off, because they'd missed one. It's even on the rail services records that basically, they would have missed that train because it was cancelled, so they wouldn't have even been there in the first place. So there's a lot of things beyond that. I'm going to keep this as brief as possible, but there's a lot of holes in the story. And then the connection with ISIS, what they call Islamic State, this movement, what they call it, an extremist movement in Israel, no, in the Middle East. And basically the connections with that, which don't make sense. As I said before, first of all, they're anti-Western. What they're saying is ISIS, Islamic State, are anti-Western. They're against anyone who kills Muslims. That's what they're portraying it to be. And like I said, the critical question is why they're so close to, in Syria, so close to Palestine and Israel, first of all, and they're not attacking Israel, which is right on their, on that continent. It's not easy for them to attack America everywhere else because, they're overseas. That's first of all. There's connections which Edward Snowden leaked, to say that it is CIA invented and connected to the CIA, and then where that leads to Mossad, Israel and stuff, first of all. And then, moving on to ISIS and that, and where it's, what I've came across is something, basically to do with this, and what it is ISIS also stands for Israeli Secret Intelligence Service, and what I followed on from that is what gets even weird. Basically, I saw SIS, and so I looked, which is basically ISIS, Israeli Secret Intelligence Service, and what I did and what I came across is MI6, right, which is UK Secret Service. I know it's European because there's MI5, MI6, But anyway, basically MI6 is Secret Intelligence Service, right? So that's SIS without the I on the start, which is Israeli. And when you think about that, it's more than coincidental, that these things stand for the same thing. Secret Intelligence Service, SIS, and basically Israeli Secret Intelligence Service is just the same, just with the I missing. There's a lot of things behind that, that don't make sense at all. And what I found out through this thing, although I'm not sure to the point of it, there's some kind of cartoon or program called ISIS as well, and something about that had to be cancelled because of what people were saying. They were calling it what conspiracy theorists are saying, and that doesn't make sense either. But there's a lot of things in that. This show, it's called International Secret Intelligence Service, some kind of cartoon. As I said, I don't know much about it, but yeah, there's really weird things behind that, and it makes you question, especially when they're, as I said, that first of all, this ISIS, Islamic State, is in the Middle East, where Israel is. It's called ISIS, ISIS, and then what I've come across is which is Mossad, basically ISIS, Israeli Secret Intelligence Service, which is exactly the same name. And as I said, the connections with what Edward Snowden leaked to say, that it is CIA invented, and then the connections with, actually to do with this ISIS, the actual what they're calling Islamic State, is what again Edward Snowden leaked. The leader, I can't remember his name, but basically he leaked, that this leader, what they're saying is the leader of ISIS, is basically a Mossad agent, and is Israeli connected for starters, is an actor as well. Is not even is not even Muslim or Arabic as far as I know, and something to do. I recall his wife or something is actually connected to Israel somehow as well. Things like that, they don't make sense when you connect the dots, and this is what I've been doing. So, when you start asking yourself why all these things are connected, you got to think to yourself, first of all, Israel are connected with 9/11, Israel are connected with 7/7, Israel are connected with this Islamic State movement in the Middle East and what they've been doing. And when you think about it, where these things lead to, the main core behind all of these attacks, especially 9/11, 7/7, and this ISIS thing, it's leading all the way to Israel every time, and that's connecting dots with proof behind them. And it doesn't make sense, does it, to me? Especially the way, if you're out there, when you listen to this, you will be, you'll be thinking to yourself, because if you're a general, watcher of mainstream media, you've been being told different, and you're not told any of this. So, it makes you ask yourself, if you do hear this. Variant systems as well. As I said, that Israeli, as I said, systems, 50 countries. And what I said before about that as well, basically, with them, and they're, like the 50 countries thing, and what I was talking about, when we come to, like who owns the world and everything like that, all of that stuff, and basically what we call the Illuminati stuff, basically on what this world martial law thing, what I was talking about, and the theory behind that, and you've got to ask yourself why. Because as I said, through deception, you've been told all these attacks were basically terrorist this, terrorist that, Islamic this, and then when you hear this, you'll be like, why? How come the people that in the news are saying are good people, and are victims, are suddenly connected to being the people who actually have something to do with the actual attacks themselves, who actually did it, like inside job thing? So, you know, you've got to ask yourself these things. You know, putting aside, you know, me just putting these things together with my skills, or what I've actually mentioned is all proved. You know, that's facts. You watch those videos, you do your own research. You know, like the New York thing, 9/11, FBI left on their records about the Mossad agents. You know what happened there. 7/7 ripple effect. Look through that. Find out yourself who ran or still runs the CCTV London Underground. And then, you know, the Mossad thing connected with ISIS, and the leader of the Islamic State in his connection with, you know, basically is a Israeli Secret Service agent, and he's actually the leader of this Islamic State, who apparently, you know, are attacking America and that, and, you know, as an enemy of Israel. So why is he fighting people he work for? You know, it goes really deep, and people have got to really ask themselves all these things, because it's not right, is it? Why? I mean, even more to the point, especially those people, you know, lost people in 9/11, 7/7, for starters. And, you know, the fact that, you know, when you ask yourself that if, first of all, the first thing that caused all these attacks from since 9/11 to 7/7 Madrid, Sydney, Paris, all of those, you know, surely that they're connected to them as well. And it means every single attack has been connected to Israel, and it's not been what you've been shown. So you've got to ask yourself these things, and you've got to ask yourself, you know, what's going on. Because, you know, when there's people out there, and, you know, basically putting across, you know, because if it was me, it's like I was years ago, when, you know, when I've been told something else, and then I find out the truth is absolutely different, and this has been told to me by the news that I used to trust and that, and watch and listen to everything they said. You know, alarm bells would be ringing, I'd be shocked, I'd be running around like a headless chicken, you know, thinking, you know, like going crazy, thinking, what's this all about? So you've got to ask yourself all these things, because it's a very serious topic, you know, and it's a very serious issue, you know. And if you really want to wake up and see why all these things are done, especially when you look up and see, you know, the Mossad, Israeli Secret Services, you know, motto, which is by deception thou shalt do war, and then you look and ask yourself about all those things that you've basically been deceived, that it was through deception, you know, what they're doing. Because what I've been saying all along, through what I've learnt from David Icke, that is, you know, that wars are always done by deception to invade countries, make money, and, you know, they're false flag attacks to kill people, you know, on you know, civilians on lands, just to go to other countries to kill other people on civilians on other lands. It's a very serious thing, you know, and you've got to ask yourself who's running the world and what type of people, you know, are running the world with that kind of mind state to do things like that just to make money. You know, there's a lot of things, and I'm just going to try and keep this as, you know, as brief as possible, because, you know, I just want to put that out there. There's nothing else that I really can think of, but I'll leave it all on the video. But, you know, that's just as brief as possible. I put everything I found up on there, and then you can look through it yourself, or even do your own research. But yeah, again, one thing I did leave out is there's something called Lorenix Information Systems, which is Colorado, USA. And, you know, something to do with how they merged with Variant Systems as well, just before 9/11. I think it was around 9/11 as well, where Variant Systems as well, tying with also the Mossad agents, you know, the dancing Israelis who were caught 9/11 as well. You know, that connects even more. And, you know, what I put across this as, simply put, this, what it says, Lorenix Information Systems, which merged with Variant Systems or something like, where it became part of it around 9/11, before 9/11, if I remember right. And then you look, that ties in with Variant Systems in London, and on London Underground, and what happened there, in 77. It connects the dots so blatantly, and everything to do with those attacks, so when you're out there, if you listen to this, share it or whatever, even if you listen to this to yourself, you've got to ask yourself what's going on, because it's scary. As I said, simply put, before that I used to be like you. I used to sit there, watch the TV, let them tell me everything to believe until I woke up. And this is where I'm at now. And my skills and stuff that are built into my genes that help me work these things out and research information. But yeah, if you can't see now, simply put through that, what's really going on and everything, what David Icke and everyone like that goes on about, and then you need, I don't have any hope for you. And then just before I sign out, what I'll leave this on is what I've been talking about, what I was talking about someone, like there's this thing they call propaganda, and basically what I was talking about to a friend about the conspiracy side, it was basically saying it's just propaganda and stuff. And what I've thought about to myself is, well, when it comes to these false flag, after these wars and stuff, that's what governments use as well. They use false flag. Basically, they use propaganda. Whether you want to know it's false flag or not, still, you look at when wars happen, and even politics and that, when it comes to elections, they use propaganda as well. And it's always for their advantage, for their own advantage, so they can win a vote, so they can go to a war. Conspiracy theorists, if propaganda is part of it, conspiracy theorists, they use it for your, for your advantage, for you, because, anything like the People's Voice, David Icke's page himself, anyone like that, UK based anyway, people like that, if they're going to use propaganda, it's to use for your advantage, so you can wake up, so you know what's going on, and you know what's going on in the real world. And when it comes to profit making and the argument on that, well, I don't make any profit. If there are conspiracy theorists or whatever you want to call them, political activists and that do make profit, well, let's just say, right, compared to what the government use propaganda for and what they make profit from, they make much more, than any of those conspiracy theorists could, even if they did use get income for it, win votes for a party. They make more money from that. For a war, they go to over there, they get the resources and stuff, make more money for that. So yeah, the argument on that is, based on a decent side as well. And what I said before on one of my videos, I think what had to do with propaganda, they used to use that as well back in the days, not just for bad things like wars, but they used to use propaganda for good terms as well. So, like conspiracy theorists, if propaganda is used, well, it's for your advantage, to wake you up, because that's what they're there for. Conspiracy theorists are there because they want to help you. Everybody, without insulting it, are like sheep, but that's just being true about it. I see most of the population, UK, US especially, and people are like sheep. They follow the crowd, they follow the herd. And basically, conspiracy theorists, they're like leaders, and they're just trying to use propaganda, whatever you want to use it, if that's what you want to call it, to try and lead the herd away from basically what you would call a slaughterhouse, from walking into their deaths or walking into doom. And that's what we do. People like me don't make stuff like this just to make some kind of, like bullshit for people to listen to for entertainment. I talk about it because it's a serious matter. I'm talking about, real serious things, like what they call terror attacks. People died, wars and stuff caused from them. People like that, like us, we don't make things, just for fun. So yeah, when it comes to things like that, I'm just being like a shepherd, trying to lead the flock of sheep away from, going into danger. And that's simply put. And it's always up to you to follow me or not. But, if you want to walk into the dark side and walk yourself into doom, then that's up to you. But there's not much more I can do than try to reach out to people as much as everyone else who does it. And then what we'll leave out at the end, sign out with is basically, things that fund Israel, like products that fund Israel to kill Palestinians and that, like basically when it comes to buying a Coca-Cola, buying a Nestle chocolate bar, buying a cereal, a box of Nestle cereal, anything like that, even when you go to buy that Coca-Cola in a shop and you're thinking, oh yeah, it might be funding Israel, but it's only a 50 pence or whatever, stuff like that, won't hurt. What you don't realise, what I was saying earlier, is you're part of many people across the world that actually contribute into the pocket and then put that money into Israel's pocket to kill Palestinians when you do that. Because you'll be that one person doing that, thinking that, and then there'll be probably loads more people. And every day, Coca-Cola especially, I guarantee, make billions, billions, I guarantee, worldwide. And that all goes, well, a lot of it, I don't know how much, but goes to Israel's pocket to kill Palestinians, just to fund warfare and stuff. So you always got to think about that. Because one less person buying that, the less money they have in their pocket. And as I said, what people don't realise is basically, when they go and buy that, if they have morals and they don't agree with, like Palestinian people being killed, is, when they buy that can of Coke, they don't realise they're basically being like like, I don't know what to call it. It's like they're paying assassins to kill people without realising it. Simply put, you're putting blood on your hands. That's the way I see it. But that's me morally. Why I don't buy things, anything that fund them. Because it's just another way of seeing it, When you go and buy a Coke, when you go and buy a Nestle product, when you go and buy a double cheeseburger or whatever it is from McDonald's, you're sitting there, even your kids, and they've got blood in their hands. Your kids have got the blood on their hands of another kid from Palestine, has just been hit by like a bomb attack or something, airstrike, simply put, and they don't realise that themselves, and neither do you. So there's a lot of things to that, and I discovered all these things years ago. Well, not years ago, but quite long ago, which made me, basically, I want to speak out against any corruption. And yeah, basically putting across, and I'll leave signing out is, what I came across, all this, what I've talked about at the start, the other day, and I just started connecting dots, looking around, searching, and that's what I came up with. So I'll leave it there, and if you want to do your own research and that stuff to make sure, I'm being truthful about what I'm saying, then it's in your hands. But, it's a serious thing. And, if you really take this seriously, this world martial law, a.k.a. New World Order, and everything about it, and you really want to, save your rights to freedom and everything else, you just don't want to be a slave and be dictated to, and everything turn around, then it's up to you and everyone else out there, you know, to basically stand up and tell them, you know, that we know everything that's going on. Because if people just sit there hopeless or just don't take any action, as in protesting and that about it, you know, or stand up and tell, you know, make them know they know about it, then everyone will be walked over and it'll be too late. Simply put. So it's up to you. So that's me signing out on that one. Thanks for listening. Cheers.
Crisis may be the presence, we the essence. Conspiracy is spit, conceal facts with weapons, but underground facts I might spit. I'm epic like the New World Order's mass deception. Entertain your brain with mass media projections. Loopy weapon, hostile hallucinations, distraction. Mass media, side ops on TV stations. New World Order, just an order. Our minds are out of order. So burn the team and throw rounds in your machine, cause that's the next step for the